All right, hey there, everybody. It's meteorologist Jamie Singleton with you here on a Wednesday evening. Evening storms coming in, and right off the bat, we can see the big area that I'm watching out across West Virginia just now moving into the Allegheny Highlands. There are two special weather statements in effect for these storms, and they are rotating. So I'm going to let this loop load back up here. As promised, this kind of teased earlier on Patreon, the I-64 area kind of under the gun right now. It's been a busy area today because they've been warmer. They were in that southwesterly flow all day. But we've got that boundary. It's right over us. It's not right here like the map says. The boundary is still, if you follow the wind, we need to draw it because it's an important player in the evening forecast. So let's see. Let's connect the wind here from Lynchburg. Whoops. My bad. Make sure I'm drawing. Well, anyway, winds are southeast in Lynchburg and southwest west of this boundary. How come I can't draw? That's perplexing. Anyway, just follow the hand here. But you can see wind here out of Roanoke and Lynchburg, both out of the south-southeast and out of the southeast, respectively. And then as you move over the mountains here, looking down across the West Virginia area, our winds are out of the southwest. And so there is some convergence right over the Blue Ridge. And that's the area that is going to try to twist some of these storms as they move in. Really not sure why I can't use this. It's going to bug me. Oh well. So this area under the gun right now, I can kind of show you an overall view of what's going on. Let's look first at our Gibson Ridge radar here. Again, there's two main cells coming out of Union, West Virginia, out of Monroe County, heading into Craig County. That cell has weakened very quickly, but to the north of that cell, I see a curling motion around Sweet Springs on the West Virginia line. This is in southern Allegheny County, with another cell there nearing the Covington area. Looks pretty strong. We'll put the latest image up here. We've also got a lightning jump with that curling there in southern Allegheny County. So let's look at that carefully here and look at the overall wind. And yeah, we do have that wind going toward the radar in green, with the radar being to the south, and away from the radar in red. So there is a bit of a very broad rotation with this cell. And then we look a little bit farther north, there's a kind of an anticyclonic turning of the wind here away from the radar and toward the radar. The reverse, kind of a bookend reversal here going on west of Covington. So we'll watch that and see what that does. But right now the area to watch is right near those lightning strikes. That's where the updraft is meeting the wind, and the mountaintops too. That boundary is right over that area. So this may be our new special weather statement soon. Most of the updraft activity is outside of the polygon. So now going into southern Allegheny County and looking into Lexington, we're looking at updrafts. Basically, we're looking at where the wind is blowing up into these storms. Nearing Lexington right now, you got a lightning striking right there near the city or the town. This one's a pretty good storm. This one has some pretty heavy rainfall with it. Also, some decent rotation. Green is again heading toward the Floyd County radar, right there on the western part of the cell, and on the eastern side of the circulation you can see some outbound reflectivities there a little bit brighter. And we follow this as it moved out of West Virginia, kind of hard to see, but north of Falling Spring. Look right here, and I'll follow it with the arrow right there. It definitely had a couple of times where the circulation strengthened and then weakened as it moved over the mountains. And sometimes as these things come off the mountain ridges, they can actually elongate the tube that's spinning and enhance it a bit. Now, all of these storms, I knew they'd rotate. The question is, of course, do we get a tornado out of that? That's going to be limited, but with a highly sheared environment, you gotta watch. You gotta watch. Anytime you've got just a little bit of cape, a lot of shear, a lot of boundaries in place, and enough lift like we're seeing now, the next hour to 2 hours will be the real critical time to watch. Hopefully we'll be okay and just get some rainfall out of these. We desperately need every drop. But this one has my attention in Rockbridge County. The circulation is certainly there, and it's going to be nearing you in the Lexington area very soon. Let's see if we have any hail in this. Maybe some smaller hail showing up in this. Those yellows showing where we probably had some ice up in the cloud. And we are, by the way, looking at about 5,600 feet up in this cloud. So it's quite a bit away from the radar. We're not seeing exactly what's going down on the ground, but it's a pretty strong storm. This could become severe at any point. This is rotation that you're seeing there in the blue. And you can see that it certainly does have rotation with it that can be tracked over a long area. So let's loop this and let you see that. We're taking away all the different radar stuff that you're used to seeing, and we're only looking at the rotation. And it's basically following I-64. It just moved north of Clifton Forge. This is a cell that's nearing Lexington and Buena Vista from the north and from the west. Let's study this a bit more. As this nears a town here, it's always good to do this. All right. Give me a second and we'll draw something on here that looks decent, that you can understand anyway. Pretty low topped storm. It's up at about 20 to 30,000 feet. This is the anvil of the storm. You can see a overshooting top there at around 30,000 feet in the jet stream level. That's what's kind of firing off these storms. And it does have maybe a little hail core in there somewhere. Freezing level's kind of low. That's looking inside of the storm. It's not overly impressive right now, but something to keep an eye on. And that special weather statement is basically the precursor of a warning. I do think we're going to get another statement or two out of this Covington storm and the one in Allegheny County that came off of the Craig County one. Now, these two have kind of consolidated on me here, and still do have some broad circulation with this one in Allegheny County. So watch that storm around Covington as well. That's a heavier cell, but the one that's rotating is just south of Covington. Now it's going toward Oriskany and Botetourt County. Eagle Rock and Fincastle next up with these storms, as is Lexington getting hit right now. Buena Vista, you're next. Not too concerned about that Bedford storm. Watching that Blacksburg storm. It had a little bit of spin earlier. And then we've got some more activity, kind of new storms firing up here in southwest Virginia in the Mountain Empire area near I-77 or nearing I-77 out of Smith and Marion counties. These moving into Grayson and Carroll counties. And not really going to collide with anything here. I think this is mainly just a regular thunderstorm threat, but we could see, again, some straight line wind and hail out of this as they move east. The area to keep an eye on is anywhere from Warm Springs, which, by the way, there's a cell heading crossing out of West Virginia now into Bath County. That's got some spin with it. Warm Springs to Lexington, Covington, Craig County, and soon to be Rockbridge County, Buena Vista down to Botetourt County. And we're going to track this because I think it's going to listen to what the models had. It doesn't listen, but it follows the physics and the analysis that I put up on Patreon earlier. These form, and then they tend to hone in on the areas where they've got the better instability, the better lift, the better shear. And they'll form and probably drop southeast if they continue to rotate. This product here that's gray and only has a few splashes of blue, yellow, or red, this is showing me where the pixels are picking up any type of wind that's varying in velocity and or direction. It can be especially useful in delineating where it's just raining and where the winds are just all over the place. And that occurs, of course, close to a tornado. So when you start to see something stick out in a real circular area right near an area where the radar shows rotation, it's a good indicator of a wall cloud or at least some spin increasing. There you can see the rotation. And again, it's not huge, but it is right up underneath the lightning. So that's still a pretty healthy updraft. And again, you see very faint blues showing that right there. Your echo top there at about 30,000 feet. We just went in on that. A little bit of hail up in the sky. And again, some very broad rotation with that. But certainly some heavier rain and a lot of lightning coming in here. We're going to have a lot of lightning in the clouds because we've got a lot of ice in the clouds. And that's more for the hydrometeors to rub against and electrically charge the cloud. The sounding today up into the sky did show that we had some dry air aloft helping to evaporate the stuff, and that also makes the ground ready to receive these higher densities that are coming out of the cloud from all that evaporation. So you can get a lot of straight line wind with damage that occurs as a result of the drier air being further up in the sky. We don't normally see that here. We usually only see really moist air in place. We don't really see that elevated mixed layer very much, but that's what it's called, and we've got it today. So that's another reason why I've been a little bit concerned, because of the high shear and also that drier air is heavier, believe it or not, and it will try to get down to the ground. That makes the air very buoyant near the ground. So a new special weather statement is now coming out for Botetourt County, Buchanan, Eagle Rock, coming out of Oriskany and the Fincastle and Lexington with these cells here. Let's head on over to our exclusive ThreatNet radar and see what we've got popping up here as far as what our exclusive algorithms are picking up. I wanted to show you temperatures. You may think it's a bit cool out there for thunderstorms, but we still do have a fair amount of dew point activity up around 60. It's borderline, I'll give you that. But it's not really temperature as much as it is instability. Temperature relative to what? Temperature relative to the temperature in the cloud. So if you got some CAPE and some storm fuel, you can still get these storms. You can look at those temperatures that produced the severe weather were around 60 in West Virginia earlier. Let's go back here a couple of hours. Basically where they are now, and we did have some confirmed reports of wind damage out of that area. So yeah, I think in this case you just got to look at the actual values and see that we do have some CAPE at around 1500 to interact with these things. This is storm fuel, and this is the value that is given as a result of the temperature. not only on the ground but up in the cloud, and you can see the higher levels there right over the storms right now. So that's why we're seeing those storms develop so nicely. And see that gradient? Yeah, we don't have a lot of cape off to the east, but we do have it in place, and that's what's got the supercell parameter up to 4 now. It's jumped out of 2 up to 4. So yeah, these storms are going to do their thing. They're going to do it in the next hour, and they're going to try to spin on us. Now here's a look at the exclusive Futurecast radar. So this takes the radar and applies a MIT algorithm to it, a growth decay algorithm, and it figures out every 5 minutes it updates, puts out a 2-hour forecast. So based on the current movement and trend of these cells, it's got a hook echo showing up and going on that given direction, that given vector through Glasgow and Amherst. But I have to apply some real world to this. What's going to happen is that's going to go south of that, what it's showing. So I'd watch out too around Lynchburg, and I think Alta Vista and Gretna. We need to watch these things because these storms are going to try to ride that boundary that got left by the actual clouds that were in place today. It set up a boundary, and storms love boundaries, especially severe storms. I've got the radar underneath this. I know you can see a darker green here. The darker green, that's damaging wind, and that goes from green to red to extreme and yellow. Hopefully we won't see the red or extreme, but if we get out of the green and you see some burgundy up on the screen, and again, it's not this stuff. The color table is right there. When you get into these strong and extreme areas, it's where we're looking at damaging wind. So we'll look at this. I like to use this a lot from Barron on ThreatNet. We can really see things a little clearer in terms of where the strongest wind shear is. And there's wind shear with all of these storms. It's just how concentrated is it and how strong is it. Looks like some strong stuff pushing out of Harrisburg into Montgomery County along 460. Heads up in Blacksburg, a lot of meteorology folks out there. This is a strong cell that's pushing into Botetourt County. Got some high wind right there west of Fincastle, north and west of Fincastle. A lot of lightning. Purple strikes are cloud to cloud. The bigger the bolt, the stronger the lightning strike. And there you see the storm over Lexington. Moderate threat for some straight line wind damage here. It's right at the junction of 81 and 64. We'll look at this on our WeatherWise app. Put our traffic cameras from VDOT here. And we'll put on the roads. Okay. Moving right on in, getting real close and personal to Lexington, Riverside, Mountain View. The flashing area, that's the strongest part of the storm. That's over Maury River. Let's look at a VDOT camera. Check it out at mile marker 190.2. It's got some rain right now, it looks like. I don't see much in the way of any wind, so that's good news. It's much needed rain falling, but we'll have to watch that area though. Moving a bit farther south here. Again, just some fresh rain falling. I don't think they had some rain up there as much as we did down in the Franklin County area yet today until just now. So it's moving into Buena Vista, the gradient of the heaviest rain moving down Highway 60, moving right now in the Buena Vista and Enderley Heights. And then it will continue moving toward Forks of Buffalo into Beverlytown in the Amherst County, and also in the Natural Bridge an increase in the storm activity. If this one doesn't turn right, and it may, it'll be a very close situation for Natural Bridge Station anyway. Oriskany has the second strongest cell that's moving toward 220, 220 being right here. In Springwood, two or three or four of these cells are interesting. And there's the one coming out of Pulaski and the Fairlawn and Radford near Parrott, getting up into Giles County there near Blacksburg in the Montgomery County. See it, Virginia Tech, what we got going on there. Traffic moving smoothly. It's always good. One special weather statement in effect, but a stronger cell's nearing you in Warm Springs. That's got some very heavy rainfall with it as well, and likely it has some rotation with us in addition. So we'll look at that here and see what we have. Nothing jumping out at me. Other than some very heavy rainfall with this. These storms in Botetourt and Rockbridge counties and Bath counties, Allegheny County, they're going to have a lot of rainfall with them. Torrential rainfall. I know we need the rain, but if you're driving in that can be nasty. And it can still flood, believe it or not, low spots because the rain rates get so high. So my ThreatNet technology picking up on the possibility of some hail there in pink with this right now. There's the cell in Bath County near Warm Springs. Half-inch hail possible. Otherwise, it's rain falling at 2 to 5 inches an hour. Told you that was some heavier rain. Buena Vista, we got some very tiny hail that may melt before it hits the ground. And rain that's falling at about 2 inches an hour. We're back around Fincastle in Botetourt County again. Half-inch sized hail not out of the question. 2-inch plus rainfall rates. Mainly heavier rain near Catawba. And the cell in Blacksburg again is strong but not severe, just kind of on the border of that now with half-inch hail up in the cloud, probably melting a bit before it hits the ground though. Now this little beam that you see, you can kind of see it there, that dull area is caused by the mountains near the transmitters there, Poor Mountain. The radar hits it and there's this little area. It also happens to be the area where the wind is blowing parallel to radially the radar beam. So it's not going to pick up much rotation. The radar won't here. As the storms move out of that little angle, they'll start to spin a bit faster. And they should begin to be detected easier if they hold together. So that's your update for right now. I'll jump on if necessary